Hey, welcome back to the site. My name's Trent, and today we're going to tie the blue charm. We're going to tie it with the gray fox squirrel or gray squirrel tail variant. I think this fly is a great Atlantic salmon fly. It works as well today as it did when they originally tied it over 100 years ago. And with the squirrel tail wing, I think it's a little easier for beginners to get into and be able to tie some of these flies and enjoy themselves. So sit back, enjoy yourself, and let's get into the tie.
All right, so let's go ahead, start the thread on the hook. Let's tighten that down a little more. All right, we're just going to run this all the way back to roughly where there we go, now I can see. I had to put my glasses on. I'm going to run it back to where the barb of the hook is. I just generally like to start my flies at that location. It's just force a habit. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to tie in a tag, and for the tag I'm using a large oval tinsel. I'll also be using this same material in the rib later, but let me clip off a section. So what I want to do, I'm going to take this and pull some of that metal off so I just have the core line showing. And we'll clip off that excess. As always, I'm going to tie this in underneath. And what I want to do is I want to catch that core because it will help to flatten it, but I also need to catch just ever so slightly some of the silver wrap as well. That's because you saw how easy it peeled off a while ago. If I don't get any, it will unfurl on me. So just gonna come out, and I'm gonna give this probably that's 4 wraps, and I'm gonna go ahead and give it a 5th. The reason I'm putting in so many is this is the tag, or the tip rather, and then sometimes you have a tag which you'll have floss, and you want that, when you tie that in, you want it to go from about the barb to where the point of the hook is. I don't have any other material I'm tying in this version, so I'm just going to fill that all in. If I was going to put in a yellow butt section or tag section, I would have not put as much of my oval on. So what I did is I brought that oval forward to fill in that gap because I have that little bit of a bend back right there, see? And a lot of that tinsel just fills that in for me nicely. Alright, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to tie in a golden pheasant crest for the tail. So I want the tail to come up, but I don't want it to extend beyond the end of this hook. So kind of get an idea. Excuse me. What I want, which that looks pretty good. So these are loose wraps. Don't get into torquing this down, because you can kind of throw it all off if you do. Alright, so top section for this tail looks good. See how it's right in line with the shank. this excess. Alright, so the last thing I'm going to put on is going to be the rib. So that would be the first thing I want to put on now. So I'm going to pull out that same piece of rib material I pulled off, that large. And I'm going to prep it the same way. Pull off a little bit. Clip that metal. Well, I want to clip the metal. There it goes. I'm going to tie that in on the bottom the exact same way as I tied it in earlier. And ever so slightly just catch a little bit of the metal. Wind all that down. And then we'll come forward. And I'm going to want the body to stop roughly, we'll say right about there. So now I'm going to tie in my Unifloss in black. I really like using Unifloss. Ideally I could put this on a bobbin, I think, but I always think about that after the fact. So I'm just going to clip off a section. Take it up, just barely catch it in, that's fine, like so. Move the thread up, so I'm going to go up and over the top, away from me, and I'm just going to make touching wraps all the way down and then all the way back up. And what I'm doing is I'm pulling it and I'm making sure the floss stays flat and doesn't get a twist and cord up on its own. So now if you've got Danville 4-strand floss, don't get tempted to try to take all 4 strands and do this and think by doing it that way you'll save time, or just pick out one strand and make a really nice clean body that way. You can fill up a lot of space a lot quicker. I could have doubled this, but you can end up with issues when you're with your body doing it that way. Now this is a great fly. I know a lot of fishermen that use this fly a lot. Even now, I think it's still really popular amongst salmon and steelhead fishermen. Pull this over. Clip that off. Alright. So now, next thing we're going to do is we're going to rivet. And like most, ideally we want 5 ribs. I know you'll see people, they'll tie flies and they'll put 8, 9, 10 ribs in there. Don't do that. These are very old standard flies. They're tied the way they're tied for a reason. And just stick with the classic. Now, if you want to tie your own variant, that's completely different. So all I'm doing is I'm finishing these wraps up on the bottom of the fly. If you saw that when you cut these oval tensils, get down here in the bottom of your scissors. Don't ruin the tips cutting these, because it's a metal that you're essentially cutting. All right, so we're just gonna come forward a little bit. Now I got these and kind of made these, I guess. What I use is I've got some turkey flats that I had dyed Kingfisher blue, and I really enjoy using these, so that's what I use. What I'm doing now is I'm prepping this feather. I'm gonna clip out just the tip up here. There we go, like so. Then I'm going to take a loose wrap underneath of this material. There's 2 loose wraps. What I'm going to do, maybe I need a little bit tighter. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this material through until I get the throat that I'm looking for. And by that I mean the length. Pretty happy with how that looks. So I'll bind that down a little tighter, like so. Just gonna back it up some. Clip off all this excess. Do is take my thumb and kind of mash it a little flatter, like so. This is my dubbing brush, which is just some Velcro on a popsicle stick, and I can take the time to rough that up a little bit. So there we have the blue for the blue charm. Now on this pattern here, as the title said, I'm tying this with the squirrel tail wing. So this is a gray squirrel tail, locally harvested by myself, and I'm just going to get myself a selection of material here. Just figure out kind of how much I want. Clip that out. Once I got that done, I'm gonna hold the tips and pull all the loose stuff out. So I want my wing, obviously, from here, but I don't want it to extend past the tip of that golden pheasant. So I can get an idea of where I want it, like so. Clip that off. And I like to clip these at just a little bit of an angle. If you've watched me tie, you've seen me do that before. That little bit of an angle, I press that down. And I catch that material, and then I can just bind it down really tight. If you're tying this in and your thread keeps slipping on you, what you can do to prevent that is get yourself some of your dubbing wax and put dubbing wax on there, and it'll help catch that thread. And just like I did with the throat, I'm just pushing down a little bit with my thumbnail. It helps to disperse it across the top of the hook. See? Now, I'm just going to build up a little bit of a head. Pull out the whip finish tool. And finish off the fly. Last but not least, we will give the head a nice coat of head cement, or in my case, Sally Jansen's Hard as Nails. Now this is a fly that's tied fairly quickly, not a lot of materials in it, and this is a fly to be fished. This is, so I just like to stand my wing up a little bit. So anyway, so there is the blue charm with the gray squirrel tail wing. I hope you like it. Please make any questions, comments below. Hit that like, subscribe if you would. I'd really appreciate it. And I hope to see you all around the vise.